3 decades later, after purchasing a $13 item, a woman comes to the realization that she was deceived. She saw a lady and was shocked by what she heard. She thought the person checking the item must have made a mistake. The lady had never been in such a situation before, and she believed the appraiser was in the same boat. She didn't know what to do. But what she heard next made her feel incredibly special. A person from London, whose name is not known, was walking around the Middlesex Hospital flea market in the western part of the city. She was passing by various stalls, and everything seemed quite old and worn. She only had a few dollars with her, so she wanted whatever she bought to be really valuable. While she was looking at a necklace on one of the stalls, she couldn't help but notice a big shiny ring out of the corner of her eye. She turned her attention to the ring and felt like it was meant to be. The woman, who remains anonymous as per request, wanted to get herself something beautiful and luxurious. While she knew it looked like something she could never afford, she wanted it because it meant more to her than just some pile of junk. She picked up the ring and looked at it for a moment as it resonated with her, but something seemed off. Nevertheless, she felt inexplicably drawn to it. The ring sat on a mount that was of incredible size, the crystal too. The whole piece looked like jewelry from a fairy tale, and the woman knew that she had to have it. A piece of jewelry that not only she loved with all her heart, but would serve as a talisman to remind herself that one day, if she worked hard enough, she would buy a real diamond. Little did she know that everything was about to change. She completed her purchase and spent her last remaining £10 or $13 on the incredible piece. From then on, she wore the ring every day, everywhere. Years passed, and her talisman was still by her side. Being of humble backgrounds, she didn't need much else, so she kept this piece close to her. It made her feel like a princess, even 30 years later. But one day, a strange trip to the grocery store turned her life upside down. On a beautiful afternoon, on her way home from work, the Londoner stopped at a nearby grocery store. She grabbed all the stuff she needed and headed to the checkout line. While waiting, she could not help but notice a stranger ogling at her hand. She thought this was very peculiar, but she brushed off her train of thought and continued waiting for her turn. What she didn't know was that the stranger, a mysterious man, was not going to let her out of his sight. The man wouldn't stop gazing at her ring, and the woman was beginning to feel uncomfortable. Her turn finally came up, and she quickly paid for her products and headed for the door, still noticing the gaze of the man following her every move. She quickly became suspicious and feared for the worst, and that's when she noticed that he was still following her. What did this man want, and how could she get rid of him? The woman quickly walked toward her car, aware that the man was still trailing her. She tried to keep him in her peripheral vision as she tried to lose him in the crowd, but he seemed unshakable. She wondered what he wanted from her, or was she just being paranoid? Then, the gap between her and him closed, and she felt him right behind her. She spun around to confront him, and then he said something that completely blindsided her. The mystery man had followed her because something about her costume jewelry had caught his eye. And then he asked her something that left her questioning everything. Seeing the panic on her face, and with his greedy eyes never leaving her hand, he quickly asked her if she minded giving him a closer look at her ring. Not appreciating being approached so brazenly by a stranger and suspecting a scam, she rudely brushed him off and hurried away. As she turned to leave, she heard the man yell, "It doesn't belong to you." But she just wanted to get home, so she didn't give the strange encounter another thought. Until later, the woman always had her talisman by her side, but one day she was in such a hurry that she forgot to put it on. It had become a ritual for her, wake up and put the ring on her finger. But that day, she was frazzled. She was going to be late, and as she hurried to get dressed and out the door, the ring was not on her finger. She didn't think much of it, but as she hopped on the subway and her hand held onto the pole in front of her to steady her balance, fear pulsed through her body with such force she thought she was having an anxiety attack. She needed to do something, but whatever she did, she needed to do it fast. The ring was so incredibly valuable to her that she got off on the next stop and headed back to her house. "I can't believe I left it at home," she thought, and more so after being so paranoid about the man at the grocery store. As she rounded the corner to her house, dread engulfed her. She saw a car speed away, which seemed like it was parked right in front of her drive. She felt immense pressure in her chest and immediately ran through her front door. As she gasped for air in her entrance, she looked back at the door. She had run through it with such force she didn't even think twice about the fact that it was unlocked. That was it. Her talisman was gone, and now she would never know the real value it had. Still, she needed to check to make sure, and what she found made her blood boil even more. As she climbed the stairs 2 by 2, she started in her bedroom. Her initial thought was to look for the ring where she had always kept it. Nothing. It was not there. She knew she should have been more careful. Something was off about that man, and her gut feeling told her so too. Eyes widening, breaths ragged and harsh, she turned her bedroom upside down. She could not find her precious costume ring, but then something jogged her memory. As she entered her bathroom, there it was. The ring stood massively next to the sink in all of its glory. She had put it there to remind herself to put it back on after brushing her teeth, but didn't. She couldn't live with his anxiety. She had to do something. Struggling to pay her bills, she became intrigued by a man who took a keen interest in her crystal ring. She decided to take it to Sotheby's London to learn more about its history and potential value. She wondered if it had belonged to someone famous due to its age, tarnished silver, and dirt. The days leading up to Sotheby's evaluation filled her with anxiety, fearing she might never see her ring again. Sotheby's needed some time to run tests on the stone, which only increased her worries. However, Sotheby's Jewelry in London confirmed that her ring was a massive 26-carat cushion-shaped white diamond from the 19th century. She couldn't believe it. She questioned if there was a mistake. Jessica Wyndham from Sotheby's explained that such valuable rings were likely owned by royalty in the 19th century, and the diamond's unique cut could deceive people into thinking it wasn't genuine. They said the ring had an old-fashioned way of cutting called antique cushion shape. This made it not as shiny as modern cut stones because they tried to keep as much of its weight as possible instead of making it super bright. The ring looked less valuable because of its old style and shape. They took a long time to confirm its value because they had to test it with experts. Jessica Wyndham said the ring could be worth up to £350,000 or about $450,000 if it was sold at an auction. The people at the auction house explained that the way the diamond was cut made it not sparkle much, and it was also dirty, so nobody thought it was real. They came to the auction thinking it might be real, but they had no idea how valuable it was. The Londoner knew the ring sparkled when she saw it at the flea market. That's what caught her eye. But maybe it was meant just for her. She had always lived from one paycheck to another, and someone else's old stuff turned out to be her treasure and changed her life. The ring was sent to an auction and sold for a huge amount, £656,750 or $847,667. This made her life much easier, and she finally realized she had a valuable possession all along. But how can you tell if your fake jewelry is worth something? What do you think of this woman's luck? What would you do if you found such amazing treasure? Let us know in the comments section. I hope you liked this video. Please give it thumbs up and share it with your loved ones. Also press the bell icon to never miss the update from our channel. Thank you.